Okay, still snoozing. Whenever I listen to my things back, it's always funny because I don't notice her snoring while I'm sitting here talking, and then I'll listen to it back and I'll hear her snoring. It's always funny. But people are always commenting about, especially on TikToks, about the snoring. That's why I try and show her, a lot so people understand there's a big giant dog sitting here with me. So, anyways, there was something, a commercial had just come on, and I was like, oh, this totally makes the point of what I was talking about. And then I went and I started eating some chips because I got some chips and queso and salsa. See, I'm really bad sometimes, but I forgive myself. Sometimes you got to enjoy this stuff. And, for all the times that I don't, I'm going to be proud of myself. So, anyways, I had got the Albertson stuff when I was there yesterday. And so I was in there eating that, and I was thinking about some other kind of like synchronicities. Oh, and I also want to say that Cancer Girl, the reason why I had talked about, I wanted to make the point about her and how well she's doing with telling people, how to heal. It's her 17th account that I saw her talking. That's how much they want to block your health. That's what they do not want people to be independent thinkers, or they don't want us to leave the system, even though the system is going to crash because it's a cosmic event. The system has nowhere to go because we are all pulling free. That's why I'm saying it's a cosmic thing that's happening. I've got to not get caught up in other people's fear and stuff like that when they're like, it's the end. But it's the end of the system. It's not the end of us. This is a beginning of us, for us to be set free, to see really how significant and how magical we really are. I mean, we have been taught to be small. So, it's such a blessing to move towards that spiritual world. That's what the people who are getting trapped into the virtual world just don't see. It's so much more magical to connect to nature and energy, and that as what you are. You're stifling yourself for this other kind of driven, it's very ego driven. So but I was when I was eating the chips, I feel like I have something, maybe my nerves are starting to come back in my tongue and my chin or something. It keeps being weird. But I was thinking about some more kind of synchronicities, like how they'll put stuff in my head to talk about, or it's kind of like they get you to focus. It's kind of like when you connect to your higher self, it's like they just kind of toss things, the things you need to know, they kind of toss them at you, and so your vibration kind of puts you into what you are focused on. And the more you connect and the more you raise your vibration, the more positive it is. Like things just start being like magic, how things happen. But you're the link. Like it's your own attitude, it's your own connection. But for me, I just see it all the time, all day long, how they bring me certain things. And this is another thing what I think that a lot of us are beginning to, as a collective, notice that we are in sync kind of with things that are happening to us and where we are vibing. We are all reaching another plateau, like where we're all gathering in our kind of our information. You know what I mean? Like we're all finding ourselves connected on another level, I guess is what I would say. And but it is a real level, and it's making us all see certain things a certain way, and we are noticing things. And see, that's the higher self to me, is always showing me or putting it in my head or putting it in my vision, making it something that stands out to me. The certain show that will come on, oh, that you should watch that. And then it has something in it that backs up what they just told you. Like those things. But I know I'm in mission. So I know, everybody has their own thing, their own way. So it's not going to be exactly like mine. because they give me certain things that they want me to talk about or notice about stuff. So, but it's so trippy because there's so much, in common. There's so much with synchronicities. And so I was thinking about that. And then I wanted to record something. And then it made me think about, so I went up to the food bank a little while ago. The neighbor had told me last week that she was having problems with their car and she couldn't go deliver the food. So she started telling me about the food bank. And it was right when I was seeing a lot of people talk about the food shortages nonstop. And I was like, man, I gotta go get some more stuff, just in case this goes, because this drags on and on and on like nobody's business. And there would be a surplus, but the surplus will run out. And they're making sure of it. They're doing everything they can to make sure of it. And so I was thinking I got to get some more like canned stuff and everything. And everybody always says the food bank, that's all they have is like that kind of stuff. And this is what people live off. What I consider emergency food is how poor people live off of that. It's really sad because like there was some canned stuff given to me, and my daughter was here, and she read it, and it says can cause cancer right on the label. And I'm sure I'll get those out and read them. But if it came down to brass tacks or whatever that saying is, it goes down to the thing, you're going to eat whatever. The hobos back in the Depression, they'd all share a can of chili together. People lived off bread and water. People during the potato famine lived off of potatoes. They've given us this cushy consumerism, gluttony kind of thing about food, but really we don't need that much to survive. And I think this is a lot of rewiring that. But a commercial came on, and it was trying to get money from us, of course. But they said something in the commercial that I thought this makes such a good point about the black and white and why you have to have light and dark. But the commercial's something about, we all need to give money, I don't know, probably one of the wars they got going on. And it was saying that how much this is helping communities come together in these crises, that everybody is there for each other and all that. And I was thinking, yeah, exactly. That's the light that goes with the dark. Something bad happens, but it brings the good out in people, which brings connection and unity. And see how important that is. And like we get all caught up in the big whole scheme of things because, they want us to be overwhelmed. But when you break it down to your community, and that's why I talk about it's your eye, it's your senses. It's what you need to see with your eyes. It's what you need to experience. That is what you need to focus on more than what's going on everywhere else, because that is your lessons. The other stuff is distraction, worry, fear, all of that. Because each community has its own impact that is happening, that is bringing those communities together. And it really is helping people come together. And I'm super isolated here, but I always feel, when I very first moved in, I thought I was going to be more a part of the community. I was part of the HOA. I was a party planner, and I had done a couple of events, and it was super fun. And they wanted me to do that, then they wanted me to do this other stuff. So anyways, I was getting more involved with the community. And then when quarantine happened and everything shut down, but I started seeing around me how much people were illogical, didn't want to think things through, couldn't discuss anything, stuck on a narrative and stuff like that. So it just gave me a different kind of view. And then I had to really put it in perspective. Well, I never planned on this being my year-round home. This was always going to be a vacation rental kind of home that would be my home, that I would always have my own home to come back to, or, to meet my kids up, or whatever. But a lot of other people can come up here and enjoy it too. So I always thought of that, and I wanted to be down south more anyways. I was always a southern person. I never wanted to be up north. And, I'm ready to go to the north, but as long as they're controlling the weather, I mean, they're making extreme weather everywhere. So the southern winters and summers are pretty horrendous right now. But my kids and stuff, now that I've got this Airbnb, this concept going, now they're more into it and they want to start doing it too. And so our next one, we're going to go in September and look for a place in Mexico. And so that would be our next one. And, so they can see the value of that. Like, I just think, they get us chasing our tails in the system, and we got to start thinking outside of the box on everything. But anyways, when I saw that commercial, I was like, it's just so perfect about, I had to turn it off. Like, as soon as they start asking, like, oh, over here where everyone's suffering, open your pocketbook. It's just ways to tug at our hearts and stuff. But it is true that this is bringing the best out on people to be in crisis. That's why we're all coming together. We're having compassion and empathy. All of these dormant things that have been inside of us are coming to life. And it is like the spring of what is sprouting inside of humanity. Even though they're trying to keep this dark winter, or whatever he called it, we're going to go into a dark winter. It's like the never-ending winter. And whenever he said that, it was, he was letting us know, because we're still in it. But so, I was taking the food thing really more serious, and really thinking about, like, what more would I need? And I was thinking, I should probably just get a little bit more stocked up. I mean, seriously, if they're taking down all the crops and stuff, it could take us a while to get food back. Like, I don't know if there's secret farms somewhere. I don't know if this change in our consciousness and, we're going to not need food anymore. I've heard things about that. I've also heard things about technology is going to, like, you can just push a button and whatever you want comes out of it or something, like all sorts of weird stuff. So I don't know. I mean, there's big changes coming for sure in our medical, in our banking, all of that stuff. So, anything can be possible with the food stuff. We're totally living in the dark ages, so it's hard to know for sure. But I decided I was going to go to the food bank, because she was telling me, they have a lot of good stuff. You should go check it out. And I was like, yeah, it's just at the corner. It's way, way closer than the grocery store. And so when I got there was kind of a bit of a line. Some people standing outside and then 5 feet apart, no mandates at all. And totally. And so some guy in front of me, could have been Ted. I don't know. I didn't ask him, but it sure came across my throat or across my thoughts. So I said something about, the line, or is this it? Do we need boxes or whatever? I started some conversation. I always do. And then he told me a little stuff or whatever. So, because I had never been up there, and he was telling me that they have a lot of really good vegetables and stuff through the summer. And when I went in there, like they have a tons of stuff, from the bread, all the bread, like the day old bread, and lots of canned stuff that is probably almost expired or whatever, who knows. And dried beans and wheat spaghetti. You're supposed to eat all these grains if you read Stephen Gundry. But, if you're desperate for food, you can eat a little bit of pasta and survive. So, I think that we can survive. I think part of the thing with Naked and Afraid, even when they lose so much weight, they're going with no food, but they have it in their consciousness that they're starving. I think as long as we keep in our head, I'm eating plenty, I feel good, I've got plenty to eat. Keep that in our head all the time. Doesn't matter if you're eating, one meal a day, or if you're just taking your one meal and spreading it out 5 hours, or whatever you do. Keep it in your thoughts. You've got plenty. Don't put it in your head. You're starving. 'Cause that's when those people, I think, start getting super sick, losing a ton of weight. Their organs start shutting down. So you got to stay in that positive. I've got plenty. I'm grateful. I'm so happy. I've got so much. And, stay in that. That's keeping yourself feeling up. That's going to make your system all, it functions as energy. And if you give it that kind of upbeat energy, then it keeps you more healthy. If you're just down, and this is what happens with so many old people, they just get in that down and just sad and beat down feeling. It's part of the system. But stay upbeat. And so anyways, I went up there and I was asking him those stuff, and he told me about the vegetables, and then him and this woman started talking about chickens, and I wasn't really listening. I was just kind of looking around and stuff, and this one kid walked up, and he had on a black hood, a black face mask, a black hair. I mean, it was kind of like, are you a character for Halloween? Is this like really what you are? Are you a boy in the bubble? Like, what's happening here? It was very strange, but obviously people in the line knew him, because I'm not really a part of the community. Most of my time here has been locked up in quarantine. And because they didn't have any things going on, no celebrations or anything like that. And so then there was some Russian people too. And then all of the signs, I started noticing, all the signs are written in Russian. We have a huge Russian community here. I forgot that. I totally forgot about that. But there also was in Spokane, huge Russian community in both of these places. And I always thought it was odd. I always thought, how weird. If I was in another country, I just wouldn't think of like Washington State, or especially when I was in Spokane. Kept thinking, why in the world? What is their draw to come to Spokane? Unless it's other relatives. But now I'm to the point of thinking, is government swapping or something? Like, I don't know. There's so many weird things that go on of why certain communities have a lot more immigrants from certain places. Maybe it's part of the experiment. I would imagine they do it all on purpose somehow. They shuffle us around. I don't know. There's a lot to this world. And but I when I got up a little closer, so I was like, like the third in line at this point, and there was these two old people sitting there. I had been watching them. I couldn't really hear them a little bit, but they were sitting there chatting for a long time. There's so many people chattering, you'd have to sit and focus on what someone was saying. So I just kind of looked around, noticing the weird sky and just crap like that. And then when I got up there, though, these two old people, the guy, he said he had been living in Maple Falls for 35 years. And that's the name of this town I live in. And she said she'd been in Whatcom County, that's the county, for 25 years. But she was born in Bellingham and then moved out here. And he was saying that, yeah, it used to be 30,000 people. I bet you it's like 5,000. I don't even know. It's what I was just talking about with these small towns. It is so much smaller. And he was saying that 35 years ago, it was 30,000 people. Like, I don't even know where they all lived. Like, I can't even imagine how, it had to be so much more bustling. And so she starts saying, well, the loggers and the miners, that's always where they hit. They hit the people who were building America. And that was their first target. That's why they hit so hard in the Appalachians with the oxys and stuff like that. They went for the people who were building America, the people who worked the hardest. And then that was the fear to move people into the other kinds of jobs because, work smarter, not harder. That's their little motto in life. About where's that getting us to? You know, yeah, if they get you trapped in the virtual world, I guess you'll just be on IV meds all day long. The government will pay you to go in and do weird things in virtual world, probably. No telling what, I don't know how people, if they can't understand like these kind of virtual addictions, social media should have showed them that. Video games should have shown them that. That stuff has been being shown to us over and over and over. Like you go do something. I mean, people on TikTok all the time. Oh, I was on TikTok 8 hours. 8 hours. It fucks with my head after 15 minutes. It messes with like, oh, gotta move it. I gotta move it. I gotta move it. I can't imagine 8 hours. Like that is such a distraction. So, it is something that people just do automatically. It's some sort of addiction in someone's brain or something, and just flip it, swipe, 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 swipe. Tinder, same thing. So, and look at that with Tinder too. Just swipe. Don't even get to know someone. It's just all visual. Don't even, I mean, the love of your life could be right there, but you're only looking for a certain type. So, yeah, it's weird. But anyways, with the virtual world thing and how much people just become so dependent on it for something, it must satisfy something in their head or something. I'm not really sure how. I always, when my kids were little, I wouldn't even let them play video games. Video games were just getting started, and I had already been around so many people who couldn't stop. They'd start playing and they couldn't stop. I mean, you could be bitching at them, bitching at them. Come on, get up. Come on, get up. 6, 8 hours, and they'd just be sitting there and couldn't stop. I mean, I bet you there's guys who just have a little pee bucket. Probably people wear diapers so they can just sit there and not move all day and play video games. It's weird, but it's something that it happens to people. And so, yeah, you get yourself trapped in this virtual world, and every time you come out of it, you go in the bathroom and see a big fat blob with bad skin. And where do you want to be? You want to be back in the world where you have a beautiful avatar. You just got to remember, hey, I'm an avatar in this world. I got to make myself beautiful. I've got to be the one who creates this avatar into its prime, But this world is just getting them to surrender and, I'll make a new avatar. This one's too hard. It's kind of heavy. It feels things. All of that stuff, It's funny too, feels things, because even a girl who's 90 pounds can feel fat in her own body. It is all so much about your perception of things. It's how you look at things. And the more we get that into our head and the more we understand, I think that's going to really help us to understand ourselves more. But anyways, I was just about that. But I'll go back to the logging thing. So in their thing, and they were really old people, and they, how they were just talking. Like I kind of chop myself off when I'm talking, but kind of just doing that, just talking, just saying something. And she started talking about something with her husband in Whatcom County and something, and he didn't keep going. He wasn't given a history lesson. They were just having some old people chatter, sitting out there waiting for when they wanted to get up. And they were just cute as could be. The little old lady, boy, she had on a lot of makeup. It was like reminded me of Elizabeth Taylor kind of thing. That was probably like her role model. It was like Elizabeth Taylor. She was all dolled up with her black hair and her real dramatic blue makeup and stuff. I just all of a sudden I thought, man, I wonder if that was that woman who wanted to do that exorcism over me. I don't think so. I have such a problem with faces. I think I've offended some people because I can't remember faces really anymore. So I could be talking to you and stuff, but then not remember who you are later. So I don't know. I think that that woman would have started talking to me though if that was her. But anyways, this little old lady, she was cute. The little old guy, oh, I think he had a Shriner's hat on. Maybe he had a Freemason. I don't know. Yeah, did he have something on? He had some kind of signia. I didn't even think about that. He had something that was a signia, but I don't remember what it was. But anyways, he was saying that the town was really a big bustling city like 30 years ago. And now it's all, I mean, even in the downtown part, I bet you a lot of the buildings have just been torn down. And see how that's how they also change history. Because some of those towns I was driving through that just seem to become more and more desolate, well, then the houses become dilapidated. And so then they just go in and tear them down. And then the new people that move in thinking like, oh, we're going to start developing this area now. And it's already been developed and then gone down, and then we're going back to develop it again. And, you know, it's so weird because we don't really understand all about history and time and space, like how much of it's so manipulated. We know that. And there's so many people now who are uncovering so much about our hidden history, and that they're finding, like, I think they found like some Roman village or something. Like, I don't know. They were finding weird stuff underneath places that shouldn't be there. So they're finding all sorts of weird stuff. And I don't know. I mean, that's going to be part of the system failing, is this more opening up to us. But, you know, it's got to be people looking. Like, there's so much that is becoming open to us, but a lot of people aren't looking. Like all the CIA stuff, the FBI stuff is all about energy and spirits and consciousness. And it would help people understand so much more, instead of this is like, oh, a scary world with ghosts. And, you know, we were watching some ghost shows over at my one daughter's that likes the reality shows. And the people were so dramatic how they were going in and they were acting like, I don't know, like people die and they suddenly become monsters and they're out to get you and stuff. It was really, really weird. And I was like, is this guy really believe this? Is he really scared, like, that spirits around him are monsters that are out to get him and they're all demons? Like, where do they think all these spirits come from? Like, what do they... I don't know. I just think that, you know, that it could teach you a lot if you go in and read the stuff the FBI released files and the CIA released files. The FBI released all their paranormal, and supernatural, the cops that went out to those kind of calls, and so all of those unexplainable events, they kept a certain file hidden from us because, oh, we're too crazy and stupid and we couldn't handle the truth. And so they kept all this stuff hidden from us. Well, it was over the last couple of years, I think it was last year, that there was a court order, they had released it. And same with the CIA and all of their hidden studies that they've done on us. That's why so many people keep unfolding all this stuff and finding all of this hidden trauma that they thought was a conspiracy theory. It's like, no, there's no conspiracy theories. Now it's mostly proven facts, but when people aren't looking for it, that they don't know it's there. So there's, you know, tons of information out there. But the CIA ones explains all of their stuff about consciousness, about being able to do, you know, they were testing drugs, they've tested chemicals, they've tested hallucinogens, all sorts of stuff on people without them knowing. And that also went with the person who had uncovered about the St. Louis studies that the CIA had done on them with, I can't remember, it seemed like it was a toxin. But there's all the studies. I mean, that's what they were doing at the Spawn Ranch, Manson family. It was all the CIA testing drugs on them. So, you know, all that stuff is out there. I mean, there was so much stuff out there now for us. I guess they even some of the hidden books from the Bible have been released. But I heard that in the Vatican, when they went in and they took all the gold out and they took all of this sacred stuff, but they took a lot of the hidden Bible chapters and stuff that they wanted hidden. And that's what I was always about when I was younger, after, especially because I just didn't ever trust it. But then when I saw the name of the rose, and then I was like, see, I knew it. You know, this is for sure that they are hiding information. They're not giving us all the facts. So, and when the Bible wasn't aligning with my inner knowing, that was another big thing for me. I wasn't going to go with the Bible over my inner knowing. So, anyways, there's more of that stuff coming out. There's so many documents now from these different labs being released, all that stuff. So everything is, you know, we're being flooded with information. So the stuff will be out there. You know, it's like the teacher will be there when the learner is ready. And each soul has to, you know, want the information. They want to, you know, I'm going to have to want to know. And I kind of am hoping that, you know, some of the stuff happens, of course, before all of the people who have done these gets all that information, because I would think it's going to create more fear, so much fear. And we want to try and we want to move it into, I think that, you know, I'll tell the universe, I'll tell you all, we can manifest this together. But I think it would make more sense that the big thing would happen, and then those people will find out, you know, in their healing, like when there's med beds available or something. Not like right now. That just seems dangerous, but I don't know. If I was in charge, it'd be a lot different. I'm not completely in charge here. And sometimes it's interesting to think, like, why would I come into this? But I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know why I am here. And I know why they show me certain things. And, you know, I think when you just start paying attention, you are being taught something all the time. You know, there's communication from outside of you, inside of you. But it's just, you know, you have to stop the noise outside of you so you can hear what's inside of you, is basically. But the small towns are being suffocated. There is some weird stuff going on. Like, I was shocked when I was listening to that guy. I wish he would have given a little history lesson. I would have liked to know what happened. Like, when did it happen? How did it happen? You know, I guess I could do a history, but, you know, and Google's in charge of our information mostly, you know, who's in charge of what they give us, you know. Our information comes from a source, just like the education books in the schools and stuff. They all come from this source of the beast, you know. It all comes from the same beast. So, I don't know if you can even find the true history of your town, you know. Everything is just such a lie. So it is interesting. I wish I would have been able to talk to that guy more, but it just seemed weird for me. You know, he's in this conversation with this lady, and I just come up there for the first time. If I started seeing him regularly, then, and I don't know if I would go up there all the time. I mean, my cabinet's kind of full now. I've got some cans of beans and some carrots and some spaghetti and rice and lots of dried beans. So I just feel like, you know, having beans and peanut butter and crackers, I just feel like you can survive. It's these people who think that they need to, you know, have a big full course meal. Like, the food shortage thing should be teaching us we've got to be independent from the system, and to really reevaluate what food means to you. What does it mean to you? How much do you need of it? What do you use to fuel your energy? And, you know, how close do you pay attention to it? You know, because that's what it's like. They're doing the same thing with our cars with the gas. It's the same thing. It's our energy. And so they are jacking the price. Well, so if the gas goes way up, are you going to go out and drive all over the place? So it's kind of that same thing of reevaluating the food, to have someone dangle it and hold up and say, hey, I'm in charge of your food. Well, it shouldn't be a fear. Oh, I'm going to go crazy. No, you got to, you know, reevaluate. Think about it. That's what I started doing. As soon as people started talking about the food thing, I just started thinking, huh, how I don't need to really eat that much. Like, how much food would I really need? And, like I was talking about before with those emergency food kits that you can buy. And I think some of them have whole meals, but really, if you're living off of emergency food, just survival, when you go back to all the times when people were surviving, it was off of staples. You got to just, know that in order to survive, let's go back to the basics. Go back and think, and the closest one was obviously the Depression. But another one that I've heard so much before is the potato famine. There was a huge thing about potatoes. And I don't know if it was everything. There was a famine and all they had to eat was potatoes. I don't really know about it, but I know that all of these different things that people lived on very little, and they were always willing to still share. It's just gotten to us, this consumerism, this greed, this gluttony, and this, no, it's mine, you can't have it. And people willing to sell their mother out for $1, like sell their own children, the biggest bidder. It doesn't matter how sick you are or pervy, our society just went a really bad direction. And but souls come to experience that. But it's the end of that. It's the end of that age. So that is ending. So, whatever your judgment is on the sickness in this world, people came to experience it because they learned about themselves. You go in and you do some shitty stuff to people, you see like, man, I'm kind of shitty. I shouldn't really judge others. I'm pretty shitty myself. You know what I mean? So there's great significance for when your soul can come in and learn this stuff. That's what makes a soul more and more compassionate, is to see that their own foolishness, their own sickness that they carry, it's not just these other people that we want to judge. Oh, they're the bad guys. They're the bad guys. No, we all have good and bad inside of us. And most of us can have the dark be brought out in us. There's something in this three-dimensional world that coaxes our darkness. And then, but these people who are experiencing it right now, it has a significant impact on their soul's growth during this time of ascension. So, it's even though there seems to be a lot of sickness, there's going to be a lot of huge growth, huge change that is going to come from this. And but anyways, this whole thing was because of that commercial. And then I was thinking about that food thing and that guy talking about that this town used to be bigger and it was small. And I don't know. I think that also people have become so just not lazy, but just become so much a part of their city. And then they just fly to another one. They don't go a lot and drive through their whole state and see like what's really going on in the state. What are the people who are, doing all the work to provide us with cities and stuff? What are they doing and provide us with food? What's going on out there? Kind of like the forgotten ones. The news aren't going to talk about it. When you go out there and you observe it with your eyes, then you see that, there's stuff going on out there. That is still so weird. I didn't see it when I was coming up the other road. That weird electric thing that they have on the 90 now that is so bizarre. And I don't know. You just never know what they're doing. They're always doing something underhanded. And they're sneaky, these people who run this world. They're just so skeezy. They are such, they aren't even the loan sharks. They're the guys that go out and break the legs for the loan sharks. The loan sharks are the ones that are, the Rockefellers and stuff. And they are still not the Godfather. I mean, it goes way up to, I guess it would be other beings from other places that are more the brains behind it, the other people. Because even their 13 original families, they're just keepers. They aren't anything. They can be taken out. They can all be taken out. So anyways, just as we're going through this stuff, just remember that it does put itself back in balance. And this whole thing is going to be the pendulum coming back to put us back into balance. And we will swing back the other way. But it's going to be, it's just going to be nice when it starts going the other direction. That's all I know. I can't wait for that. So, anyways, I did a lot of talking again. So and it's freezing here. That was another thing. I was talking to somebody who I knew up in the thing off of the HOA. And he even said he had to leave and go to Arizona. It's so cold. And they all were talking about this misery and this cold, and nobody can plant and all of this stuff because it's still freezing. And, but see, they're just talking about it. Nobody's going like, well, do you know the government has control over the weather? Do you know the government is doing this to our agriculture on purpose? Did you know they're trying to prevent us from growing? Nobody is talking about that. They haven't woke up to that part, but they are noticing, something's off with the weather. This isn't right. This is weird. But, it's freezing cold again. I had to go put on more warm clothes. It's so freaking cold. I feel like starting a fire. It's freaking cold. This is ridiculous. So, anyways, I will stop talking. I'm going to try and not talk anymore today. So I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you later. Bye.